You know those Gunlance mains that say shields up? Doesn't always work. Whoa! I thought I could block that. Hey, classy crew, and welcome to my 12th journal in my Sunbreak journey to catch them all. I mean, all the quests, that is. And by catching, I mean completing. This past week, I was supposed to get into a new weapon and grind out some of the more monotonous quests that I haven't done yet that aren't full challenge. There goes my pen. However, I didn't realize it was also the same time Title Update 2 was dropping, so forget that partially. Keep the Switch Axe because we have a Flaming Espinas, I think I said that right, and a Violet Mizutsune to talk about, but I did dabble with a new weapon, unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on who you are. It ended up being the Gunlance. It was a weapon I chose at random. I literally just took a random number generator from 1 to 14, and the number is 6. We're going for a Gunlance. And it got even spicier a little bit because we attracted a certain content creator named Rurikon who came and played Gunlance with me for a fight or two until I was too embarrassed and switched back to Switch Axe. So anyways, the Flaming Espinas, this boy, I loved this fight. I think Wyvern monsters are probably, is that what you call them? Wyvern beasts? No. Are my favorite monsters because I love Rathian. I like Rathalos. He's kind of okay. I like Steve. I like Espinas. I like Flaming Espinas is even better than Espinas. So it's just such a fun fight. When you have the Switch Axe, it just flows so well. First of all, these aren't monsters that are hopping everywhere. They're not slithering everywhere. They're just big, chunky boys who are breathing and like clawing at you. And it just, I can constantly be bashing with them. And because the Switch Axe lets you like roll and move and pivot, it just flows so nicely. Now, the biggest indicator or the biggest unique aspect of a Flaming Espinas is its nuke. I did know that there was a nuke. I wasn't sure, I think of the first time I saw it, when exactly it would come out. He was like charging up and I was still hitting on him. I was like, oh no, it's nuking! And I rolled, I think I rolled through the first nuke because the whole chat went kind of crazy with, oh my god, how did he dodge that? So I kept wailing on him and then he nukes and I'm like, oh, I can dodge this. And I get out of the way, only to see, so there's his close nuke, and I'm like, pish posh, I know how to deal with this, and I run away, nukes, and then he shoots a second nuke at me. I didn't know he double nuked, and so the double nuke almost wiped me out, and then I killed it, and I killed it in one of the best ways possible. So as I was just bashing on it, I went to Invasion Sensation him, but I missed, and the sword was like right in front of his face, and then he was like puffing up his for his nuke. I was like, I could see that his capture gauge was close. I knew he was close to dying. I was like, either he's gonna blow or I'm gonna blow. And so I'm like, maybe my boom will be bigger than his. Oh! So I was on a high. This was feeling great. Next up, I went for a Violet Mizutsune. This fight was hard. I was not expecting this fight to be harder than Flaming Espinas because everybody seemed to, even Capcom was like really promoting Flaming Espinas, I felt. But man, Violet Mizutsune, and even like the normal Mizutsune, I don't really struggle with it that much. But this one is a whole other level of evil. First of all, I unlocked a new locale. I learned that a lot of you probably unlocked this in the end game of Base Rise. For whatever reason, I didn't see this place, so I thought it was unique to Violet Mizutsune, but it's not. I was surprised I didn't unlock it by then. The hardest thing about the Violet Mizutsune is the fact that it is jumping everywhere. So it doesn't stay very stationary. So as the Switch Axe, I'm constantly having to chase it. And then once I get close, it like curls up or it throws things at me. It's constantly at the bubbles. The fact that they like hone in on you, it just makes them that much more aggressive. And there's constantly like bubbles to dodge. You have to close the gap with the Mizutsune. Just managing all of that distance of getting close to it, getting away from it, dodging the bubbles, dodging its tail. This one came close. I came close to losing. I carded twice and I was very close to carding a third time. I did not know about the spirit bomb, and when I saw that in the sky, I was like, oh my goodness. And so the first time I saw it, I just stayed really far and I looked at it and like, is it gonna throw it at me? Is it gonna fall on us? What's gonna happen? And I saw what happens. It stays up in the air and then it turns into a like big fireball and it just crashes. So I was able to dodge that. In fact, I don't think it ever hit me. What caused my second cart, the first one is just because I got on the doggo and Mizutsune was like, get out of here with your dog, and slapped me. The second cart though came from, I got curious and I started experimenting. I was like, I wonder if I can pop that bubble. And so I was throwing kunai at it. I was like, is it hitting? Is it doing anything? And then Mizutsune just went, get out of here, and smacked me. I did learn afterwards, I saw on Twitter, someone said if you can hit Mizutsune enough, the bubble will actually drop on it, doing a lot of damage. So you just have to do a lot of damage. Now, I will argue, Capcom, if you're watching this, you should have something happen when you throw kunai at it, because that's what you teach us. You teach us, hey, there's rocks in the sky, you throw a kunai at the rocks. Why wouldn't it work here? So those were fun fights. I did also get the jazz soundtrack, which came with Title Update 2. This thing was a little bit expensive. It was like $5. I was expecting it to be a few bucks, not $5. That's like 3 coffees. But man, it was worth it. On the Sunday following my Thursday stream, I did a very chill grind stream. And I had that jazz going, and I was like, it was a beautiful day outside. I was like outside, out the window. I wasn't playing outside. I had some tea going, and I had the jazz music playing in the game. I was just like, we're just doing some hunts. Oh, it felt so nice. So I think it's worth it. If you enjoy jazz, there's other songs you get out of it. I don't like all the other themes that came with it, like the Steve theme, the Astalos theme, all those in jazz. I don't like it. But the main one, the town theme in jazz, beautiful. Just sounds so good. I also killed the Master Rank Chameleos, which is something I hadn't done previously. So I did that now in a random Master Rank quest. Nothing really stood out for me. He was fairly comfortable. I remember Chameleos being harder than that. I know that there is another Chameleos, a risen one, but I am not high enough rank to fight him, so I'm still grinding that out. Now, outside of new monsters, let's talk about new weapons, because the gun lance is a weapon that I know it's very much poke boom, poke boom. That's about the extent of what I knew before. So I'm like, okay, I have to take my knowledge further. There has to be more than this poke boom, poke boom. I learned that there's a shield, as stupid as it is. I don't think I've ever really used gun lance enough in a tight situation where I needed shields a lot. And I also have to say, like, I felt so stationary, and I later learned in a rush to get out and fight, I completely forgot to put decorations in any of my gear because I switched out to high rank gear to go fight high rank monsters with the gun lance. So I went in completely like deco naked, which means I had no evade extender, no nothing. And the hops were so like, oh my goodness, you barely do anything. And I was fighting a Basilgeese of all things. And for the most part, it was helpful. Like, it was teaching me that, oh, if there's going to be a boom here, you want to look at the boom and you want to have your shield up. Otherwise, you're going to get launched by the boom. So that is a whole different way of playing. And then through my poke thrust, I was learning that there's like a slap. And I really love the gun lance slap. It's like, well, there's the one that you want to recharge. So I was like poke boom, and then you like hit B at one point to recharge. If you don't do it in a combo, it's like you hold your shield and you just go like chuk chuk for a charge. I don't like that. But if I'm going like poke boom, whooshing, like that, oh yeah, that feels good to recharge. I don't know how to do it. So that felt good. There's another one. There's a move I was dubbing. I forget what I called it. I think it was like the Heavenly Smash or something, where you like wire bug up and then you come down. And I was like, oh, this is so cool. And I discovered it while fighting with Rurikon. He's like, yeah, that move sucks. I was like, oh. But he was showing me his moves. And he was admitting that like the moves he uses isn't the meta set.
Well, I mean, the playstyle that I'm using here is also like one of the worst things. For instance, when you see me fly, like this is the least efficient thing you can do with the gun lance.
Is that where you?
But it's so stylish.
Down? Yeah.
So it's like I don't care.
I thought gun lance was such a stationary weapon, and here's Rurikon just like doing circles around this monster, bish bash boom 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 boom. I was also trying to get the worm stake, I think it's called, the one where you like inject like an explosive knife in the monster. Couldn't pull that off regularly. I kept pulling off the one where you're like charging like a boom and then it goes boom. So I did that a few times by accident. I think it's just a resource management that I need to learn a little bit more and get the combo memory down. So the Basilgeese was okay, though I did cart to it, of course. And then with Rurikon, we did the gold. We went in Master Rank gear against a gold and silver, the gold Rathian and silver Rathalos. I did put decorations this time. I had full artillery in there, and I did have some evade extender, so it was a lot more comfy, but I still didn't know what I was doing. I even tried to block. There was the silver Rathalos, which was charging all this blast, and I'm just like, maybe I can block this. And everybody laughed. That's kind of the the main theme of all my streams and attempt at doing things. Everybody laughed, but I laughed too. So it was a good time for everyone. So that's where I am with the gun lance. I'm not saying I'm going to commit to the gun lance. I'm still playing around with different weapons I want to play. Gun lance is very foreign to me though, and it was kind of good to understand a little bit more about it. I learned that there's also this thing called like bursts, I think they're called. It's basically like your ammo, and I learned that the one I had was wide, so you have very few, but it does more damage, I think. And there were 2 there. And then the one with Rurikon, I built one that after chat was telling me what to build, and that one had like 8 bursts or something, which is the max you can get. It was the Rathian gun lance, if you care to know. And I learned that there's like a wide, a long, and a normal kind of burst, I guess. And Rurikon tried to explain it to me. I should probably just watch his guide because I didn't quite understand. I understand that you want to do wide for like more like small targets like Rajang, and then I think long for everything else. And anyways, there's a whole like weird knowledge set to learn about just the different types of gun lance. So that's where I'm at in my gun lance knowledge. Next week, what do I have? I think I still have to grind up my master rank, my afflicted rank. I unlocked a bunch of monsters. I finished star 1 and 2. That's not true. I finished star 2 afflicted. I'm unlocking some quests I was missing in afflicted 1. So working my way through that, working my way through master rank, and I'm getting very close to tackling all of the end game high rank things, which is going to be a challenge in and of itself. So that's where we're at. Hopefully I'll see you on stream or in the next journal as I continue to progress through 100% completion, 100% quest completion. And until next time, keep it classy.